also from Sanata Dharma. Anybody else from Sanata Dharma? No? Mbak Wido, yeah, right. And I know a representative also from Universitas Pajajaran, Pak Ari. Could you please raise your hand? Yeah. And we have also a representative from SI. So SI is English Studies Association in Indonesia. It is an association consisting of English departments in Indonesian universities. Okay. How many members, Bu Lestari, more or less? We have 111 members, and Bu Lestari Manggong is the representative from SI. Right, and then we have Pak Rudi from Universitas 17 Agustus, right, Pak Rud. And then for the others, could you please briefly introduce yourself from which university, because I'm not quite familiar with the other audience. And Abu Aurelia, it's from Widya Mandala Madiun. Yes, okay. Surabaya Kampus Madiun. Right. And Bu Ida from Unisula, and Ibu? Universitas Pamulang, yes. And then, right. So John is from University of New England in Australia, right? And then let's start with the second tier, Ibu. Okay, Ibu. Universitas Erlangga. Okay, UNER, yes. Okay, Bapak?
I'm Marvin Pableo from Silliman University and Cebu Technological University Malboal campus, both from the Philippines.
What university is it, sorry?
Silliman University and Cebu Technological University.
Oh, okay. All right. Next.
I am Philip Andrew Garlitos from Ateneo de Davao University, Philippines.
Ateneo de Davao, thank you. BPK Penabur, all right. Jakarta, is it? Yes. And then Bu Novi, and then next, Ibu. Yes. Yogyakarta. Yes, thank you, Bu Wiatme. Yes. And then Bu Elga, and then next, Bapak.
My name is Adam from Universitas Balikpapan, East Kalimantan.
East Kalimantan, okay, all right. The farthest so far. Right, and then next. Yes, Ibu. Unsud. Yes, thank you, Ibu, from Unsud.
I am Tri Pramesti from Universitas 17 Agustus.
Untak, ya? Right, yes, with Pak Rudi. Okay, next.
Ibu, sudah.
Bu Aurelia sudah, and then next.
Yeah, my name is Dita Surwanti, and I am from Universitas Sarjana Wiyata Taman Siswa, Yogyakarta.
Yes, okay, and next is from Sarjana Wiyata as well, and then.
Hello, I'm Novi Wulandari from Universitas Respati Yogyakarta.
Unrio.
Unrio, yes.
Yes, right, okay. I think we've covered all the representatives of both government and private universities, Jogja and outside Jogja, even outside Java, yeah, from Kalimantan. So thank you once again for joining this forum. And this is what we are going to plan this afternoon. First of all, we will hear the introduction by Professor Citra about ASLI in Asia, the explanation about the activity, the membership, and the probably future conference or plan, right? And then after that, we will have question and answer session. And then after that, yeah, we can end the session, and we'll see you again tomorrow. So the first opportunity, I would like to invite Dr. Chitra to explain to us about ASLI and its activities, please. Yes.
Thank you, Professor Halvido. I'm very grateful that you've given me this opportunity because we are all very passionate about being as inclusive as possible for the ASLI ASEAN. Let me tell you something about its history and how it was founded. So what happened was in 2015, about 3 of us formed a panel from ASEAN, and we went to this overall international meeting in America, which was conducted by the Association for the Study of Literature and Environment, which is called ASLI. Now, when we went there, we were approached, the 3 of us were approached by the founding member, founding president of ASLI, Professor Scott Slowick, and then president of ASLI, who was Professor Catriona Sandilands, to ask us if there was an interest in environment and environmental studies in ASEAN. The reason why they were so interested was because ASLI has formed branches all over the world. So they have a branch in UK, they have a European branch separate from the UK, probably anticipating Brexit, I don't know. So they had they already have 2, one in UK and one in Europe. And they also have a South Asian branch of the ASLI with India, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh as members. And recently, I was told by Scott Slowick that the Bangladeshi chapter of South Asian ASLI ASEAN has also become extremely active. There is ASLI in South America and so on. But very strangely, in 2015, there was no ASLI from ASEAN, that is Southeast Asian nations. There was no representation. So when I went there, they asked me why this was the case, why it was that there was no representation of ASEAN in the Association for the Study of Literature and Environment. And they wondered if this was because sufficient number of criticisms and creative writings were not emerging from ASEAN on environment. So I said, quite honestly, I was aware of the environmental works that were emerging from Singapore, Malaysia, and also from the Philippines. But I was not aware of the larger ASEAN region, and I said I would go back and experiment and find out and explore. So then when I came back to Singapore, I got in touch with my friends, and through them, I kind of got in touch with a few others. So I got in touch with people in Vietnam, Cambodia, Philippines, obviously, Malaysia, Singapore, not just NUS, but also NTU, the Nanyang Technological University. Myanmar, I even managed to find some contact in Myanmar. And John here is very, does a lot of work in Myanmar, so he'll be able to probably tell us a little more if you're interested in Myanmar. So I managed to contact all these people, and what amazed me was that a lot of work on the environment was going on in all of these countries. But the problem was that we were not interconnected. So all these efforts were isolated efforts, that it was just happening in a very localized manner in all of these various countries, that there was nothing, no overarching umbrella organization under which all these activities could be coordinated, right? And it's always important to have such umbrella organizations because that means we can, as a body, represent our concerns globally. Now, what was interesting was East Asia had a very big contingent in ASLI. South Asia had a big contingent, but Southeast Asia did not have any representation other than the 3 of us myself and the two others who happened to be my doctoral students. So then what we started doing was in 2015, I started getting in touch with all of these people who are working in the environment and environmental studies in any form, right? It was not necessarily to do with just literature. It could be any kind of environmental work. But the only condition was that it should be based in ASEAN and it should have relevance to ASEAN, to Association of Southeast Asian Nations. This was the only condition we had. And based on that, we had a conference in 2016, in August, 1st of August 2016. And at that point in time, we were amazed to find representation from almost all the countries. Indonesia was not there for some reason, but Cambodia, Vietnam, Myanmar, Laos, all of these people came and presented papers on the work that they have been doing on environmental studies, environmental humanities, right? So it was a very eye-opening moment for all of us. For every one of us, there was about 40 presentations over 3 days. And it was a huge eye-opener because all of us realized that there was active interest in literature and environmental studies and environmental humanities. But it was just that it was not properly organized and coordinated. So we started ASLI ASEAN, Association for the Study of Literature and Environment, ASEAN branch. That's when in 2016 we started. And what we decided we would do was to ensure that it was affordable for everybody. So the idea was to make sure within ASEAN there are large discrepancies in income levels, even amongst academics, who are probably the privileged lot in each country. So we decided the first thing we would do is we would make sure that the registration fee did not exclude anybody. Right? We don't want anyone to say we couldn't become members of ASLI ASEAN because we couldn't afford the registration fee. So what we did was, the first thing we did was we said that we will not have any fixed membership or registration fee, but that it would be prorated. So what we did was we, as you can see from this website that we have created, you have all you have to do is to Google for ASLI ASEAN and this website will come up, and if you look at it, you can get all the information you want. So here what we have done is, we have said that the annual membership fee for the ASLI ASEAN doubles up as the conference fee for the for all the ASLI ASEAN workshops or conferences. And this will depend on the salary bracket that you fall under. So all you need to do is to, any ASLI ASEAN fee workshop that you want to attend, you just have to show your salary certificate, and based on that, the conference fee will be prorated. So in that sense, we made it very clear to all the participants that they are eligible to participate, and it should not be based on the fact that they cannot afford it. Furthermore, there is an executive committee, and you can see the members. I happen to be the founding president. I don't know if any of you know Lily Rostob. I'm sure most of you know her from Philippines. She and Zainor Zainal from Malaysia, they're the two vice presidents at the moment. So what we have done is we have started a cycle of conferences. And so far, the first conference was in Singapore, the second conference was in Hanoi, and the third conference was in the Philippines. That was this year, and next year the conference is going to be in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. So one of the first prerequisites is that the conference only takes place within ASEAN. In fact, this year, I had a request from someone in Germany saying that we would like to host ASLI ASEAN in one of the German universities. But I said we are turning it down because it goes against our very fundamental principle, which is that we want us to participate in our space, not go to Europe, because how many of us can go to Europe, right? So it's important that we have it within ASEAN countries. So currently, what we have done is in every country, the presentations that we have had, we have selected the most interesting presentations, and we have published them. And the object of this exercise is to make sure that our presentations and our engagements with the creative writers in our region reaches other scholars in other countries like UK, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, America, so that they become aware of the scholarship in place in environmental humanities within ASEAN. So this is our objective. So far, every conference, after every conference, we have been publishing steadily. So we published a special issue in one of the most prestigious journals, international journals in eco-criticism called Journal of Eco-Criticism. We had a special issue on ASEAN, and of the 40 presentations, I think about 28 or 29 were selected, and they were published in the special issue. And then the ensuing conference, Hanoi, we published again with a good publisher. We brought, and now Lily Rose is working on the next edited volume, which has been presented in the Philippines, and the same will go on for every conference. So this is and sometimes if there is a problem with language, but the ideas are very good, we work with the authors. We work with them and try to make sure that the language is, English doesn't become forth. Then we try and help the authors to actually project their ideas. So this is also something that it's ongoing project. Next project for which we try and get grants. So I'm going to be applying for a grant in January in Singapore, and it's going to be a large grant, hopefully. So what the project we are trying to put together for that grant is we are trying to ask people in each country. So we are trying to ask one person or a couple of people to be in charge of a panel to select the best eco-critical creative work from their interesting work on environment is coming out in Bahasa, and and whatever languages you would like to include, and we would like to have that represented. And once we collect this, and obviously, the grant will help you with the expenses that you need, right? So we will already incorporate all of that. And we will be in discussion with the people who are in charge in each country. And we will be hoping to meet with these people once a year or sometimes once in 2 years, and it'll be a 3-year project, right? So that we can all come together and understand and standardize the kinds of ideas that we are working with. So this is what is currently on board. And I think that I'll stop there for now. And if there are any questions that you would like to ask, that'll be good. I'm very happy to respond.
And I'm sorry I forgot to introduce our colleagues from the Philippines and from UKI. So University of Santo Tomas and Ateneo de Manila and University of the Philippines, and Pak Hendrikus from UNES Semarang. Yes. Now, Dr. Chitra is open to questions, comments about Aisley and the activities that the organization has. So she will be more than happy to answer any questions or comments that you have.
Yes. So basically, it will be. It's going to double up. So if you are going to take part in a conference, the registration fee for the conference will also be the membership fee for ASEAN. So you will not have to pay a separate membership fee. But it will be only eligible for that year until the next conference. And as I said, it's prorated. So you can say that I can, given my salary, I can only pay this much. And so the panel will decide if that's okay, and then they will do it. So we do have some kind of regulatory process. For instance, if somebody from Singapore wants to pay prorated, unless they are students or if they are postgraduates, we generally don't allow them because we feel they can afford the registration fee. But if somebody from Myanmar, for instance, wants to pay very nominal amount, we are very, very happy to accommodate. So we do have some regulation based on national structures. But other than that, there's no separate ASEAN membership fee, only for the conference registration, which will double up. The other thing is, I forgot to say, if you are a member of ASEAN, you've paid the registration fee for that year's conference. If it happens to be, so any other ASLI branch which has a conference, you don't have to pay the registration fee for that. So if you're going to attend the ASLI in America, or in Europe or UK and present a paper, you don't have to pay the registration fee because you're members of one of the branches, which is ASEAN. Yeah. Sorry. Online journals. So we have right now, we don't have any journal of our own. We have published with Journal of Eco-Criticism and a special issue. But the reason we didn't take on a journal per se was because it's a lot of work, mainly. And none of us have that kind of time to edit. But it's very easy for us to get special issues in various journals. I have already discussed with a few. So the most obvious, one of the most, I just spoke to Professor Qayyum in Kuala Lumpur, and he runs a very, very good journal. And he has expressed a lot of interest in publishing a special issue on ASEAN environment in his journal. So we can access a lot of journals and special issues in those journals as and when we want. But we also didn't want to start a journal for another reason, because we don't want it only to be limited to journal articles. We also want to produce edited volumes at times. And later we thought if there is sufficient material, we could also include creative writing, right? And poems or short stories, and then we can actually have them translated and also have those in the volume. So all of these ideas we have, which is why we are not very keen to start a journal as such. Yes?
Thank you for having this business meeting. So I'm thinking of how we can promote ASLI membership in Indonesia and attendance in the conference in preparation for the conference in Kuala Lumpur.
Yes.
Other than, so I have several things in mind just off the top of my head, such as identifying those scholars and writers who are currently working on projects related to what is to the concerns of ASLI, as well as, let's say, help ASLI promote the conference in Kuala Lumpur. So I'm, off the top of my head, I just can't think of those two ways in which the ones present in this business meeting today can help, and perhaps also use our own networks in Indonesia to promote those two things.
So the first thing that we would like you to do is to spread the word about ASEAN's website to all your scholars who are interested in environmental studies, and then to send an email to me and say that you're interested in becoming members and you would like to attend the KL conference. So what we have done is we have a list of members of ASEAN, people who have at any point in time registered for any of our conferences. So we have a whole list of names there, and we would like to have Indonesian contingent also add its name. Right now we don't have, I think we have only Professor Hendrikus's name. Other than that, we don't have any other Indonesian names. So we need more names, right? And so those of you who are interested in joining, perhaps you could send your name to Professor Paulus, and he could actually coordinate and collect all the names who are interested and send it to me. And I will put it on the website along with the other list of memberships. But of course, you will have to ensure that you are coming for the KL meeting, right? Or pay the prorated registration fee for your membership, your name to be added. So that has to happen. So once the Prof. Paulus sends us his list, I will send it to Zainor in KL, and she'll probably get in touch with all of you individually. And then you also have to write to her and let her know that you're interested in attending the conference in KL, which will be sometime in August or September of, or she said between August and November of 2020. It is next year. Yeah? Was there another question you asked me?
Those were, you've already addressed both, okay. How we could have a list of names in order to increase the awareness of ASLI in Indonesia, and also at the same time promote the conference in KL.
Yes, yes. We have, so there are some, one of the few rules that we have is that you have to, when you're presenting in the conference, it can be on anything. It can be on theater and performance, it can be literature, it can be from the linguistic angle, it can be any environmental humanities angle that you can, sociological, historical, all of that is fine. But one of the few conditions we have is that you have to work on ASEAN material. You can't work on European material or American material. It has to be from any of the countries within ASEAN, right? I've had a lot of people who say, no, but I'm working on, an American author. Unfortunately, no, because this is meant to promote ASEAN literature. And so we want you to only focus on ASEAN literature for, during your presentation in the conference, not an American author or an Australian author. Very occasionally, in the very first conference, I allowed people to do comparison. That is, they would choose an Australian with an ASEAN writer and do a comparison. I did allow that in the very first conference for the simple reason that I was not sure how many people would be working on ASEAN, whether we would have enough. But both from Hanoi conference experience as well as Manila, we realized that there is so much scholarship that is emerging from ASEAN itself that we really don't need to include any literature from outside ASEAN. Yeah? And you are most welcome to work on your the text in Bahasa or whatever, but only thing is the presentation has to be in English. The text can be not yet translated into English as long as you are able to explain the text properly during your presentation, but your presentation has to be in English. Yeah?
So there is no room for comparative study actually?
There is, if you, so that's why I'm not excluding it, because we don't know what the situation is in KL. If Zainor believes that she wants comparative literature between one ASEAN literature and one European, that's okay. But it definitely has to at least prioritize the ASEAN. So if you're comparing, don't talk too much about the American or the Australian. Prioritize the ASEAN literature, and then you can do very productive comparisons with whatever other book that you are looking at or literature. Yeah? Okay.
Other questions, comments?
So I really hope that this will be a very fruitful and productive session, in that I hope that many of you will be interested in joining us in Kuala Lumpur for the next conference. I will keep Professor Paulus informed about the updates, and I will make sure that you're all, I mean, I'm sure you'll keep.
Yeah.
So if you can give your names to him
Right.
now with your email addresses, he'll be in a position to contact you.
So probably then I will do it through the conference committee. Once you give me the link to the CFP for the conference, then I will send an email to each members, to each attendant attending this conference, and then we will start from there. You can then register your name, your institution, and so on through that email. I will collect the information from the emails and then send it to Professor Chitra. And as for the payment and so on, of course, that's beyond me. I think the organizers will take care of the rest. Yeah. So for the technicality, that's how we are going to do it. I will communicate with all of you through the committee. Right? Does it sound good? Okay. Yes. All right.
Thank you very much.
All right.
We really, really hope that you will join us, because we feel this is such an important activity. Very little is known about ASEAN literature outside of ASEAN. In fact, John has brought out an edited volume on ASEAN literature, and he's also working on ASEAN literature. And to think that we have a scholar from Australia who thinks it is so important to explore ASEAN literature only goes to show that there is a lot of value in this, and we need to actually, basically showcase the kind of work, both creative and critical, that is emerging in our countries, and bring it to the attention of other countries and other eco-critics. That is my only wish, and I sincerely hope you will also help us in that endeavor.
Okay. Thank you. So if there's no question, I think that's the end of our meeting today. Thank you very much for your attendance and attention. And then I will see you again tomorrow at 8 in the morning. Yes. And then the venue would be moved further down, about probably 200 meters to the north, to the new building. So it's actually it's just next to this building, right? So the parallel session then will be held in that building all day long, right? So once again, thank you very much, Professor Chitra, for the information, and thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow.